This is The Toss-Up, where an expert line panel dissects the hottest stories within the world of sports. From some of the nation's strongest college programs right here in Bloomington to the games and moments that capture the world's attention, it's all right here on The Toss-Up. On Wednesday night, the Indiana men's soccer team did something that hasn't been done since before the last time it won a national championship. Win the Big Ten. With an undefeated home record on the year and a +7 goal differential since their most recent loss in Lexington, the Hoosiers are full speed ahead on getting back to the College Cup. It's been Andrew Gutman leading the way for Indiana, and he's received a balanced diet of help from guys like Trevor Swartz, Griffin Dorsey, Justin Rennicks, and Spencer Glass. But although this team may look better than it did at this time last year, the biggest challenge is in the future. Will it end in heartbreak again, or will we see everything come together for the second time in 7 years? We'll find out soon enough. Hi, everybody. This is The Toss-Up. My name is Michael Dugan. Joining me on the panel this week, we have Dylan Wallace, Maya Engel, and Juan Diego Alvarado. It's almost postseason time for IU men's soccer, but not quite yet. There's one game left against Michigan State. This team right now, Juan, I'll start with you, seems like it is worth the hype. Why?
It is worth the hype. It's such a complex team, experienced team. We're not seeing same Indiana men's soccer from last year. I'm seeing a much more experienced team that has now losses on its belt, which are important for a team. I'd rather get the defeats early in the season than get them in postseason now when it counts.
I agree, Juan. This team is absolutely worth the hype because obviously they're great. They're Big Ten champions, but they really go out and perform each night they're out there. And if you buy a ticket to an IU men's soccer game, you are guaranteed a great performance, whether that's a game-winning goal in the last 20 seconds or another Trevor Swartz assist or Andrew Gutman header. You're just guaranteed to watch them do great things. They never disappoint. I mean, they did have a rough game against Kentucky, so excluding that game, they are just so fun to watch, and that's why there's so much hype for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think what makes them so dangerous is their depth and their versatility. I mean, you look at it, they can, like yesterday against Ohio State, they can put in Spencer Glass and Jordan Klein. They can move them on the back line, push up their two outside defenders, Reese Buckmaster and Andrew Gutman, and it's like nothing changed. It gives the other teams a whole different kind of attack, and that's what makes them so dangerous is that they can switch around these lineups, give different teams different looks, and it works every time. The players know their roles as well.
I'll go right back to you. Why is this team different or better than it was last year?
Well, Juan kind of touched on this earlier, and I think it's because they've had losses. As weird as it sounds, last year they didn't lose it all until the national championship. That's when they lost the first game. And now they lost the first game against Wake Forest, and they lost mid-season against Kentucky, and they've bounced back perfectly from the games. They rattled off 9 straight against Wake Forest, and now they haven't lost since they lost to Kentucky. And I think just having that, learning from those losses, it's something they didn't have last year. It's something that will benefit them this year.
You know, something that they didn't have last year that they do this year is some hardware. I mean, last year they made it to the national championship with no trophies, and now with this Big Ten title under their belt, I think that's just going to give the team a little more confidence that they need to keep competing in the postseason.
And for me, having Justin Rennicks and Griffin Dorsey called to the national team is such an asset for this team. The confidence they bring in offense, it's something that it's going to be necessary for postseason play. And hopefully they're going to be here because the U.S. men's national team schedule might match also with the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament.
What's holding them back right now? What's their biggest liability, Juan?
Injuries. I think this team is ready to roll. Injuries is the only thing that can stop them. I don't even want to imagine what would happen if Andrew Gutman will go down in the ground like he did one time at Bill Armstrong, and it got the fans really scared. So I think, yeah, that's the only factor. If the team stays healthy, they should be fine.
I totally agree. I think injuries would be the biggest difference. But another thing is sometimes Indiana's kind of known for their great defense and their great back line, but sometimes the defense does play a little sloppy, and we saw that against Kentucky. I think in the last 10, 20 minutes, the team was so focused on scoring a goal and trying to find the equalizer that the defense got a little sloppy, and Kentucky managed to score 2 goals on them in the last 10 minutes. So with defense like that, that they need to play tight, and this is a time where, okay, put that behind you, move on from that game, from that 3-0 loss, and just really focus on staying strong the entire 90 minutes.
I have to say, sometimes they get off to slow starts, and the other teams can really build momentum off of that. And next thing you know, they could find themselves down 1-0. And if that happens in the tournament against a good team that's not maybe like a Maryland, but it's like a Wake Forest, a Kentucky, it might be harder for IU to try to find that equalizer. So they've had slow starts for a few games this year. So if that happens in the postseason, it could be trouble. But they can kind of handle that, like you said, really get stingy on defense. They should be fine.
All right, well, we're going to toss the break really quick, but coming up after the break, our panel is going to continue the discussion on IU men's soccer, so stick with us. Welcome back to the toss-up. We're talking IU men's soccer, but before we keep going, let's toss it to Austin Matricardi at the media wall. Austin?
Thanks, Michael. Over the past few years, IU men's soccer has featured a strong defense. Over the last 4 seasons, spanning back to 2015, they've allowed just over half a goal per game. If you're keeping track at home, that's a goal every other game. In the past 2 seasons, the Hoosiers have kicked it up a notch, allowing a goal approximately every 3 games on average. With defenses this strong, you'd figure Todd Yeagley would be swimming in trophies like Scrooge McDuck, right? Not so fast. In recent years, the Hoosiers have had an issue. They haven't been quite as prolific on the offensive end. This is something IU has improved upon. The Hoosier attack has been trending up in a number of categories over the last 4 years, including goals per game, shot on goal percentage, and assists. But if you look at this year's numbers, they're a bit different. The Hoosiers are scoring over 2 goals per game, something they haven't done since before at least 2015, but they aren't getting as many shots. They're only taking 13 shots per game on average compared to the nearly 17 per game they averaged over the last 3 years. So what does this mean? Simple. The Hoosiers are taking better shots and getting better looks than they have in the past, and that's allowed them to be more efficient in attack, needing just 6.5 shots to score a goal compared to over 8 last season and more than 10 in each of 2015 and 2016. This trend could be key to IU bringing home some hardware in 2018, as they've already won the Big Ten regular season title and could be primed for another deep tournament run. Michael, back to you.
Thanks, Austin. Austin is our in-house mailman because that suit game always delivers. All right, guys, it is time to play Make Your Case. Juan did not like that one.
I did enjoy it. It was quite great.
The face you gave me wasn't of approval.
No,
but
that was a face of approval. It was a face of
it
approval.
was a face of approval. Okay, I'll take it. It's time to play Make Your Case. Juan, I will start with you. The rules are simple. I give you a statement. You make your case as to why that is true. Make your case that this team is the best in the country.
I can make a case that any team in the top 5 is a team to beat, except when IU plays the #1 seed, they should be good. IU, it's such a challenge for other teams due to their strong defense that, yeah, and anyone will be really happy to beat a team like them.
IU kind of has such an elite soccer program that I feel like every year they're always the team to beat. But especially this year, and especially in the Big Ten Conference, they're 7-0 this season, and I believe they've won the past 36 conference games. So no Big Ten team has done it yet. So now it's all kind of down to Michigan State. And we talked last time we were here that this Michigan State game is going to be huge for IU, but it might be even bigger for Michigan State because now they're the last Big Ten team who could end IU's streak this season, and that would be huge for them.
This team is full of a bunch of winners. They all went through that last year, and they don't want that to happen again. And we've seen, they have just persevered. Like, some of them have futures, but everything is just focused. Everyone's focused on the now, and they're also talented. That's what makes them dangerous. They're all on the same page, and it's going to be a good run.
Who's public enemy #1 for them? Who's their biggest competition left out there?
We've talked about it a lot this show, and I honestly think it's Kentucky. Like, that game, it wasn't a fluke by Kentucky. I know their schedule hasn't been tough. They've only lost once this year, but they are racking up goals, and they put 3 up against IU, and they look really good. J.J. Williams is just, that guy's so talented. He had an amazing free kick against IU, and they got that big defensive back, and he just looked like a wall. IU looked like they couldn't get past him. So, yeah, I would have to say Kentucky.
I would also agree Kentucky, and then also there's Wake Forest, the #1 team, obviously, and we saw very first game that IU can compete with Wake Forest. They're very similar teams. They both have amazing goalies, just an all-around amazing roster. So between Wake Forest and Kentucky, those would be really tough matches for Indiana.
For me, that Colt Philadelphia there keeps playing like a replay on my head. That one team that's super quiet during regular season but comes in clutch in postseason is called Stanford. And that's the team IU should keep an eye on this postseason, playing hopefully in the College Cup for them.
A familiar foe right there.
A familiar foe.
So who's the biggest X factor on this team, Juan?
For the Hoosier players?
For the Hoosiers, yes.
Andrew Gutman, no discussion.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Trey Muse. I'm going to discuss that a little bit.
It's not lightning round time yet. Juan. You can elaborate if you want.
That's how much I appreciate Gutman. I know that if he goes in, he'll do something special for IU men's soccer.
That's true, and everyone is talking about Andrew Gutman. Everyone's talking about Trevor Swartz. I feel like we haven't heard Trey Muse's name a ton recently, and if it wasn't for him, the Hoosiers wouldn't be where they are today. So I think we kind of need to remember that he is the guy in front of the goal. He's the one who's only allowed 9 goals this season, so he's the X factor for the Hoosiers.
I gotta say Spencer Glass. I mean, he's got some smooth crosses. His teammates, coaches, they say all season long, best left foot in the country, and he keeps proving it every single game. And even when it looks like he's got nothing, he just kind of pulls back. He sends a ball in, and man, it's on place, and a lot of the goals come from him.
It's great to have him in the bench, coming in for Thomas
Exactly,
or Dorsey.
yeah.
He's such a great asset too for IU men's soccer.
Well, now it is time for the lightning round, and the first question is team MVP. So we'll go to you first and get it out of the way because you kind of hinted at it.
Who is Andrew Gutman? End of question.
Andrew Gutman, we literally said this last time too, but not much has changed.
You can't not say Andrew Gutman. The guy's been incredible.
He confirmed this decision with his goal yesterday that gave IU that Big Ten regular season
Definitely.
championship as well.
That was the icing on the cake.
That was
Oh,
the
yeah.
icing on the cake.
Who has been the team's breakout player this year?
Justin Rennicks for me. I mean, he kind of got off to a slow start, but man, as soon as he got that first goal, he's been racking up goals since, and he's just so explosive in that striker position, man, and he has no fear. I mean, he is really, really good.
I'm going to go with Reese Buckmaster. He's one of those guys that doesn't get a ton of mentions or any like honors or anything, but he is really the heart to IU's defense, and I think he's secretly the best right back in the whole league.
I am in a debate between two players. Griffin Dorsey, with his zigzag, he's such a problem for defenders, making him go left to right, left to right. He's really a really good dribbler. But also Jack Mayer, that gap he had to fill from Grant Lillard, it was quite a challenge for him, and he's been doing really well.
All right, I'm putting everybody on the spot. How far do they go this postseason? Juan?
Go big or go home, champions of everything.
Everything.
They're definitely going to make it to the Cup. I'll say that. I don't know the results from there, but I'll for sure give them that.
I say College Cup. I don't know about the national championship yet.
Okay, well, we'll find out. All right, it's the end of the discussion, so what is everybody's last word? One word you get to pick on the current state of IU men's soccer. One.
Promising. Because IU promises a lot for this postseason play, and we're ready to watch it.
It's kind of basic. I'm just going to go with talent. This is the most talented soccer team I've watched. Well, I mean, I've only been in college for 3 years, but throughout those 3 years.
3 good years.
Exactly, 3 great years. They're so talented.
Determined. Their Big Ten championship wasn't good enough. They want 2 more trophies.
All right, well, before we get out of here, let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds of the season this far for Indiana men's soccer.
We're obviously optimistic. First day, it's just acclimation. Tonight we have an advantage in our preparation, and I know Dartmouth's going to have a really good year, so I think this will be a good win.
No. I mean, after last year, I think he was the second on the team with points behind Mason. And yeah, he's really good. That's plain and simple. Given he's a really good soccer player, and he gets up and down the flanks, and yeah, he's just very good. He's creative in the final third, but then at the same time, he's very good defensively. So he can do it all. Pretty impressive.
A big win tonight. Notre Dame's a really good team. I thought tonight it was kind of two heavyweights going at it. It was a good game. I mean, both teams created some great chances. There's some special players on both teams. This is kind of a showcase of college soccer. And Kentucky's year has been very good. So it's just going in and continue to perform and keep getting better at small things. But a lot of our focus obviously is on that Big Ten.
All right, look forward to more sights and sounds from this team as it enters the postseason right around the corner. That does it for the show this week. Be sure to continue the discussion on our Twitter page at IUSTV Sports and on Facebook at IUSTV Sports. You can always give any suggestions for the show and ask any questions that you may have. Toss it up. Find out if we'll catch it. We'll see you next time.